This is Fred Beck from Fred Fighting, proudly sponsored by Empire Fight Store. Today I'm very lucky to be joined by the editor of Ring Magazine, Tom Gray. Tom, it's nice to have you on the Zoom again, mate. How you been?
Yep, good to see you. Yep, all good, Fred.
I got a message from you. I think I sent you an interview last night at about 10 o'clock, saying you're available for another interview. I got a message to play about 3 o'clock in the morning. I can take it that means you're awake for the fights last night.
Yeah, I got up. It's not often that I get up, but the main events were just, to me, unmissable. So it was no big deal getting up for once. When you get to my age, Fred, staying up easily, it's long behind me. It's in my rear view mirror now. I can't stay up like all the way through. People were saying, "Oh, get caffeine into you." When you're 47, there's not enough caffeine in the world to keep you straight up through to 6 o'clock in the morning. So I set the alarm and got up.
But with the Zone one, you can just watch that in the morning, though, can't you? Because you won't get any spoilers. If you watch on YouTube, and you'll see the time and the difference. You'll see the thumbnails. It'll spoil it for you. I guess watching it live is good as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was the biggest women's fight of all time. I was really excited about it. So it's one of those ones that if I didn't try and get up, I'd probably struggle to get back. I'd struggle to get to sleep. And probably wake up at silly o'clock anyway and come down and look for it, hunt for it, or watch the DAZN broadcast, which is what I did. But no, I felt as if it was an event that I should watch in real time.
Yeah, certainly. Well, I didn't watch it in real time. I watched it this morning. But we'll start with the fight that happened first: Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano. Was that the first time Katie's probably been hurt in the professional ring by Amanda?
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure I've watched every Katie Taylor fight, and I have never seen her. I mean, Delphine Persoon had considerable success against her in both fights, but in many ways it was like the punches were like tennis balls off a tank. Katie could absorb that and keep firing away herself. What we saw last night was Katie being outpunched and damaged. So much so I thought, I mean, I don't know about you, Fred, I don't know if you knew the result when you watched it, but I thought Katie was completely finished. She'd taken so much in the fourth round. That I didn't think there was any return from that, because it was like concussive, brutal headshots, and they were coming in clusters. That's the worst I've ever seen Katie hurt.
Yeah, certainly. I haven't seen Katie hurt like that before, but you thought that was over then. Do you think Katie's going to get stopped in the next round?
Yes, because I mean, she took. I mean, I think the way I put it on Twitter was she took 12 rounds of punishment in 2 minutes, and that's literally how it looked. You're at the point where it was becoming uncomfortable to watch. And in the corner before the start of the fifth, she looked vacant, and then in the next round, if your television picture's that good now on HD that you can see the expression on someone's face. You can see if they've got that kind of blank look, and she carried that into the fifth. And I'm sure I gave Amanda Serrano that round as well. The middle of the fight was Amanda Serrano's. But yeah, I thought she was done for. I think it was I can't remember exactly, but the 6th or the 7th where I said, "Oh, she's pulled herself out of it." Her conditioning is that good. She works so hard that she was able to come out of it and get back, get her legs back, essentially. And that all comes down to your road work and your conditioning. If you've not got them on point, you don't survive moments like that. Amanda Serrano would have finished her, but I've never been so impressed by Katie Taylor, and I'm not even just talking in the women's game. That's comparable to anything that a man has done in the ring of late. Like to battle through that and come back the way she did was phenomenal.
Did you agree with the judge's decision, though?
I did, and I cannot get my head around it because, or at least Amanda Serrano's tactical abilities in the ring. I mean, she obviously had gone in there with the view to nailing Katie and following up and getting a stoppage. And I think that would have been in the back of the camp's mind. She was a superior puncher. She got her, had her on the hook. And then, the fifth, she was still fighting really well, but there was a big tail off in her output. And that allowed Katie to find, the space that she needed. She was given the time that she needed. And Katie's she's an absolute warrior. She was just letting her hands go in these sharp clusters and then moving around and resetting, starting again. And Serrano really didn't have much success in the later rounds. I thought that she allowed Katie to out-hustle her, and I had the fight 6-4 at the end. What I will say is, mate, very difficult to score 2-minute rounds. I mean, torturous. When you're so focused on the 2 minutes, you're so accustomed to doing 3 minutes, and you're it's almost like you're looking for something else to happen, and then the bell goes. You need to be so alert. But the way I I looked at it was if that fight had went to Amanda Serrano by a point or two, no issue. If the fight was a draw, no issue. But by the same token, if the fight goes to Katie Taylor and I had Katie winning it, no issue. She earned it.
Yeah, certainly did. It ended up being quite a good fight in the end. And I think Eddie Hearn said in the interview afterwards, they do the next fight. Obviously, they probably will do a rematch in Ireland. I think that's a good place to have it. I mean, there'll be a good atmosphere there, though.
Well, Katie's never fought there. So it would be fantastic for Katie to bring the fight there. Yeah, I'm going to watch it again. Obviously, I just, Katie now is in her mid-30s. She's accomplished absolutely everything. I'm not going to tell Katie Taylor to walk away, no question about it. But I just, there was moments last night I was a bit unsettled with the damage she sustained, and I want her to be careful. She's such an amazing ambassador. She's been such a great pioneer, but the boxing fan side of me will want to see that again. And in Ireland, it would be electrifying. I mean, it would actually bury what happened at the Garden, and the Garden was on fire last night.
Certainly, that's quite a good word to describe it. Electrifying. But we should probably move on to the next fight that happened last night. Yes, you watched it as well. We're on Sky Sports. Yeah. Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez. Did it play out the way you thought it was going to go?
Pretty much. I actually expected, and this sounds funny, I mean, I had a 118, 109, which was the same as two of the judges' scorecards. I actually expected a bit more from Stevenson. I thought he would perhaps get the stoppage. I know he's not known as a puncher, but I thought the amount of damage that he could accumulate through the rounds would end up being too much for Valdez to handle. But Valdez was never, I think he was momentarily stunned by an uppercut in the late rounds. But it never looked like a stoppage. I just felt as if Shakur Stevenson could have had a bit more of a varied attack. Some of the combinations became repetitive, but there was only one man in it. He controlled the pace, he controlled the distance, he controlled his opponent. I mean, it was one-sided, but I expected just that touch more, which goes to show the expectations that you have of Shakur Stevenson. I mean, to me, he's one of the brightest young stars in the world in the lightweights. Better start looking down because he's coming up.
How good do you think Shakur really is?
Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. I don't think we've seen the best of him. To me, the coming out party was Jamel Herring. Jamel is pure world class at 130 pounds. I know that Carol Frampton was out of his weight class when he fought him, but you've seen the way Jamel dissected Frampton, and Shakur Stevenson went into that fight and made Jamel Herring look like he shouldn't even have been in the ring. And did get the stoppage in that fight. That's kind of the same performance that I expected. But he's still very young. He's in his early 20s, so he's improving all the time. And the big fights, the big fights for him are at 135 pounds. I don't know if you noticed, but I mean, he looked so much bigger than Valdez last night in the ring. I mean, you could see who get the benefit of the rehydration, and it was definitely Shakur Stevenson. I would give, by his standards, I would say that was like a B last night. But he walked away with a lot of hardware, including the Ring Magazine Championship, which is the best belt in world boxing.
Have you got it there with you now?
Not right at this second. I know that we managed to get one over to Las Vegas for presentation purposes for him, and then you'll get his belt through in the post with all his name and stuff on it. And so will Cruz DeZern, who won the super middleweight championship, the female super middleweight championship last night as well.
Okay, that sounds pretty good then. Is it fast getting those belts over? What, they send them first class, or do you send them as someone who's good?
No, they're FedExed, I believe, but they'll be FedExed to Team Stevenson. I don't know about fast. I mean, there is a lot of work that go into them, so you're probably looking at over a month anyway.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, well, they do look pretty nice. I guess it is worth the wait. But where do you think Valdez goes from here then? Now we talk about Shakur.
Well, I foresee Stevenson moving up to 135 pounds. If he might want to make a defence, I mean, obviously you get those belts and then you need to make the very difficult decision to leave them behind. So he might have a defence. He's got no problem making 130 pounds. But ultimately, I think his immediate future before the end of the year will be lightweight. Valdez, in that case, if there's vacant belts lying around, then Valdez would be as well staying where he is and look to secure other big fights at 130 pounds.
Yeah, certainly. And would you not think Shakur might want to be undisputed champ at 130 before he moves up? Or do you think he'll just move up anyway?
I think he'll move up anyway. I mean, even it's going to be difficult to get the other two pieces of the puzzle. He might target undisputed. I've not heard them mention it. The one thing that he was referencing Devin Haney last night, and it could have. I mean, look at it this way: if depending who wins, Devin Haney, Kambosos, you've got an undisputed champion on tap. You can just go straight to it. You don't need to worry about putting the parts of the puzzle together. So £135 is where I think you'll see the best of Shakur Stevenson, and I think that's where the genuine, the authentic super fights are for him.
Yeah, certainly is. I'm sure he's signing a career ahead for Shakur Stevenson. But Tom, thanks for coming on again, mate.
You're welcome.
Putting a time out. But what's coming up for you the next few months? What do you got on the radar?
Well, I'm going to LA in a week on Wednesday, and I'm not planning on doing a bloody thing, Fred. I'm not looking. I mean, there's big fights out there as well when I'm over. You've got Charlo Castano too, but I'm over with family, and I've promised that I'm taking my finger off the boxing pulse for a couple of weeks. I might get to a couple of gyms, but nothing, no major amount of work. I'm not doing proofing on the next magazine. I've got a magazine story to write before I go, but that's about it. And that will probably be on Shakur and the potential assault in the lightweight division. But no fights coming up. I was at Fury and Dillian White, which was a spectacular occasion. But I've got no plans to go to any fights for the time being.
Were you ringside for Fury versus White? Or were you
I was. I seen some of the debates of people that went ringside, etc. So you're down there feeling pretty guilty. But my get out clause to feeling guilty is it was a Ring Magazine championship fight, so you need to cut me some slack.
Yeah, certainly. You're Ring Magazine, you've got to be ringside. Tom, thanks for your time. We'll catch up soon, mate.
You're welcome, mate. You're welcome.